Thank you, Congressman Schuler. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce a former United States Marine who comes from a long lineage of military families, who gave 34 years in service to our country. A command officer in the infantry at all levels, Vietnam veteran, Reconnaissance Company, retired Major General, United States Marine Corps, Tony Studs.
Distinguished members of the panel here and distinguished veterans that join us today, ladies and gentlemen, one of the bad features about being last to speak is you get to see how cooked up the crowd is. I look around and I'm reminded very quickly of the first leadership instruction that really meant anything once I got out of the classroom and reported to Command of Rifle Battalion. After the first formation, my platoon sergeant said, begging the lieutenant's pardon, sir, he said, but you probably don't want to face the troops in the sun anymore. I just sitting here and watching today and watching the fans going and everything, it recalls that moment to me quite vividly, and I recall those words of Gunnery Sergeant B.W. Rice. I don't know where the gunny is today, but I hope I would make him proud. It is quite an honor to be titled a keynote speaker, but it's quite a burden when you're on the end of the podium here. And so in order to remember what the good gunnery sergeant taught me some 34 years ago, probably a lot more now that I had the years of retirement, I will try to cut down what I intended to say, most of which was to bring honor upon our fighting forces, those Americans who serve in harm's way, who have served in harm's way since time of the birth of our nation, beginning on the green at Lexington. Instead, I will recite for you the pledge that each serviceman takes upon entry into the service, slightly modified if you're an officer, meaning it's a little bit longer. But essentially it goes, I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I'll bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me, according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Now, while I was reading a novel last week, Doug Sonton's book titled The Horse Soldiers, if you haven't read it, I recommend it to you. In that, he starts off the book with a song of the Sioux warrior. And I won't attempt to sing it to you. One reason, I don't know the song. Second reason is I had the good pleasure, my wife and I, to attend the concert last night of the Oak Ridge Boys, and I swear I'll never sing anything again after listening to that terrific, to the terrific voices that we heard last night. But the song goes, I am the Kit Fox. I live in uncertainty. Anything that is difficult, if anything is dangerous to do, that is mine. And when I thought about those words, that song of the Sioux Warriors, it occurred to me that that's really what is implied when our men and women raise their hand and take that oath of allegiance to the Constitution and to you and me, the private citizens of America. This particular oath that they take stays with them for the rest of their life in most parts. Most of them serve honorably, the vast majority. They acquit themselves well, not only on the field of battle, but in all the chores that they are given to do. Not only the ones that they like to write home about, but the ones that they love to complain about. And so I think that certainly that is one of the purposes of this beautiful memorial park. But I think there's another point, and that is if one goes to the genesis of what is meant by the word veterans, it derives from the Latin word vetus, and it means old. And I certainly don't think of that when I think of the word veterans, although it certainly is applicable when I look in the mirror. But what the other portion of this Veterans Memorial does, it recognizes the transition of the American fighting person to civilian life who continues to remember that Pledge of Allegiance to the Constitution and to incorporate his and her talents into our federal government, local, state, county, and town. And for those that choose not to do that, but choose to join organizations such as the Marine Corps League, the Navy League, the American Legion, the Veterans of Foreign War, the Vietnam Veterans of America, they find outlets to perform the continuance of this obligation and pledge in the various activities that these organizations conduct, such as to ensure that no child in this county goes without a toy at Christmas, such as to ensure that programs are conducted in our high schools to teach and to inculcate in our kids a respect for Old Glory and for what it means to be an American. For those activities and those contests that they sponsor in that end, as well as the fact that they remember and they are present when other veterans are laid to rest and paid their final respects, to include the placement of the American flag on graves during Memorial Day. So today, it is indeed a glorious day to remember both the past and the present and the future. It is a glorious day on this 233rd birthday of our great nation. And I think that as one in the future wanders through this park, they will be impressed not alone with the mortar and the bricks, the flags, and the beautiful landscape, but I think they will sense the presence of the spirit of the Kit Fox. God bless you, God bless America, God bless our veterans.
Thank you, General Studd. Bugler, sound taps. Retire the colors.
Forward. Mark.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our program. Thank you for being here today. Have a great 4th as we celebrate this first on the birthday of our country.
Wait a couple minutes.
Anyone that might have lost a